Last year, I reviewed the shockingly thrilling horror flick known as Phantasm. Now let's talk about its sequel, Phantasm II. BT's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So, greetings, my fellow YouTubers, and welcome to Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. I'm the Big D, and this time around, I bring to you a review of the 1988 sci fi, or should I say, maybe not sci fi, but science fantasy horror flick Phantasm II, released by Universal, written and directed by Don Coscarelli, starring Angus Scrimm back in the role of the Tall Man, along with James LeGros and Reggie Bannister, returning from the first film. This is the sequel to the 1979 film of Phantasm and second installment of the franchise. The plot follows the first film's protagonist, Mike Pearson, who is recently released from a mental institution, recruits his friend Reggie and some new friends in an effort to defeat the Tall Man. The film was released on July 8th, 1988, and while it did okay, but it caused controversy among fans by recasting the character of Mike. If you have not seen my review of Phantasm, which I did last year, check it out by clicking on that before you go into this review, okay? Okay, that'll do it. Now, on with the story. Liz Reynolds is a young woman whose psychic bond to Mike from the first film, and the tall man manifests in the form of prophetic nightmares. Through this link, Liz pleads for Mike to find her, fearing that when her grandfather, Alex Murphy, dies, the tall man will take him, transitioning to where the first film left off. The tall man and his minions attempt to kidnap Mike. However, Reggie manages to save him by blowing up the house. 7 years later, in 1986, the now 19-year-old Mike has been institutionalized and fakes recovery to get released. That night, he visits Morningside Cemetery and exhumed the graves. Reggie shows up trying to convince him that his experiences with the tall man were not real. However, Mike reveals the coffins are all empty and asks Reggie to help hunt down the tall man. Reaching Reggie's house, Mike has a premonition of where the tall man sets off an explosion that kills Reggie's family seconds before it occurs. After the funeral, a convinced Reggie agrees to accompany Mike. Gathering supplies and weapons, they hit the road, discovering abandoned towns, pillaged graveyards left in the tall man's wake, and even a few of his traps, including the apparition of a naked woman. A gruesome encounter with a creature resembling Liz leads them to the town of Paragord, Oregon. Liz's grandfather, Alex, dies, and her sister Jerry disappears during the funeral. Searching for Jerry, Liz escapes an encounter with the tall man and flees. The presiding priest, Father Myers, maddened with fear, the reanimation of Alex using a knife, but the corpse rises and kidnaps Liz's grandmother. The following, well, and the following after this, Liz finds a funeral pin in her grandmother's empty bed, and the tall man psychically tells Liz to return at night if she wants to rescue her grandmother. Meanwhile, Reggie picks up a hitchhiker named Alchemy, who eerily resembles the nude apparition. They find Perigord deserted and dilapidated. Liz arrives at the mortuary where she encounters Father Myers, who attempts to convince her to escape with him. Myers is killed by one of the tall man's spears, and Liz encounters the tall man himself, who converted her grandmother into one of his lurkers. Liz manages to escape and finally meets Mike in the cemetery. That night, the tall man abducts Liz in his hearse before Mike and Reggie give chase. Liz is taken to the furnace room in the crematorium by the tall man's mortician assistants, but she escapes, sending one into the furnace. Mike and Reggie break into the mortuary and find the embalming room. while Reggie pours acid into the embalming fluid, Mike discovers a dimensional portal that requires a spear to open. When they split, Reggie searches the basement where he fights a graver and several lurkers with a chainsaw and quadruple shotgun. Reggie castrates the graver to death and guns down the lurkers. Mike saves Liz from a silver spear which subdues the other mortician. A larger gold spear emerges and begins to chase Mike and Liz. The surviving mortician manages to escape by cutting off his own hand. Now for the ending, you must stop this video at once. Go to the description box below. Fast forward to the time below to avoid the ending spoilers. Now, as I'm counting down, if you've seen this already, please continue. Okay, you've been warned. Dodging the Gold Spear's advanced arsenal, including scanners, lasers, and spinning blades, Mike and Liz barricade themselves in the parlors. The surviving mortician assistant returns and almost kills Liz before the Gold Spear blasts through the door and kills him with a buzzsaw. Liz, Mike, and Reggie reunite and use the still embedded silver spear to access the portal. Before they can destroy the building, they face the tall man and pump him full of the acid contaminated embalming fluid, which causes him to melt. The trio escape the building after setting it on fire. They're greeted by Alchemy, who has procured an abandoned hearse. As they ride off, Alchemy reveals herself to not be human, and the hearse swerves wildly, then stops ejecting Reggie. Mike and Liz, trapped in the hearse, try to convince themselves that they're dreaming, but the slot to the driver's cabin opens, revealing the tall man. Hands break the rear window and pull Mike and Liz through. End of story. So, what did I think of Phantasm 2? Now, I've only seen this twice, and I'll say it's not too bad. I feel like it's a definitely underrated film. This was not well received by everyone. It was a minor success, not slightly minor. It didn't do as well as its predecessor, going on to make 7.3 million on its $3 million budget. But of contemporary reviews, everyone was not impressed. Roger Ebert rated this film 1 out of 4 stars and likened it to an extended dream without logic or a coherent plot full of nightmarish images and no character development. Time Out also said that the only valid reason for seeing this belated sequel is that it goes some ways toward explaining the incomprehensible plot of its predecessor. But Variety called the film an utterly unredeeming, full gore sequel and incredibly morbid and meaningless. Yes, well, that may be, but in a positive review, the Chicago Tribune stated that Coscarelli has captured the texture of a disjointed, half-remembered nightmare and likens it to the 1920s surrealist film movement. The Philadelphia Daily News said the film has all the elements of a classic serial horror film and praised the special effects. A retrospective, Rotten Tomatoes has a score of 33% and Metacritic has a score of 42%. FearNet called the sequels indecipherable and too weird to understand, though Scott Weinberg of FearNet recommended the film to fans of the original. The AV Club rated this a B and wrote of the cult appeal. Dread Central rated this 4 out of 5, but criticized the more realistic approach taken in favor of the surrealism of the first film. Bloody Disgusting rated this 3.5 out of 5, but said that the film seems dated now and does not quite live up to its nostalgic value. Yeah, I can understand that. So it's factually fairly okay and what have you. I don't think it's completely great, but I appreciated what they were trying to do. However, fans were not thrilled with the recasting of the main character, Mike, going to James LeGros, which he was fine, what have you. Yeah, I mean LeGros, excuse me, who had recently appeared in a film Universal had released the previous year, which was Batteries Not Included. He also went on to appear in Born on the 4th of July with Tom Cruise and the original Point Break as well, plus other films. But however, we do have Angus Scrimm back as the tall man. I still say he was good. Reggie Bannister returns as Reggie, and he was still good. Paula Irvine played Liz. I'm gonna say she's fine. Samantha Phillips as Alchemy. Yeah, she's good. And Kenneth Tiger played Father Myers. Yeah, not too bad. We only did have a little footage here of the original Michael in flashbacks played by A. Michael Baldwin. But unfortunately, everyone was not thrilled with him not bringing him back to play the grown-up Mike. That which is kind of a bit of a disappointment and what have you. Yes, it could have been a little better. The music was provided by Fred Myro and Christopher L. Stone. I'll say it's fine as well. I gotta give it credit. And of course, they did have Don Coscarelli return to direct this film, since of course he directed the first film. After this, he would go on to do the next two films, which were direct-to-video titles: Phantasm Ii, Lord of the Dead in 1994, and Phantasm IV, Oblivion, which were both released through the Universal Home Entertainment label. Now, I haven't seen those two yet, but maybe I will. And he didn't do the last film, Phantasm Ravager. He did serve as a producer of the film. Still, I am going to say the film is fine and what have you. It might not be great by any means, but it's a fine film and what have you. So anyway, yes. I'm just going to say the film was fine. So with everything said, would I recommend Phantasm 2? I'd say, well, I think just to play it safe, give it a one-time watch if you are a hardcore completionist of this series. Okay, and that's all I'm going to tell you on this. What did you think of Phantasm 2? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, consider clicking the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. Continue to help support my channel, and you know the rest. Next time, I'll be bringing to you a review of 28 Days Later. I'm looking forward to doing that. So, I hope you like this, and if you did enjoy this, check out some of these other films that I've tackled, but only in re-review form. In the upper left-hand corner, check out my re-review of another horror flick from 1988, and that was Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers. Much better film. Not that I hated Phantasm 2, but still, like I said, it was fine. Or you can check out my re-review for my favorite film in this franchise, Friday the 13th, the final chapter from 1984, or go to the bottom left-hand corner and see my spoiler-free review of the new installment of the Final Destination series in Final Destination Bloodlines. And the bottom right-hand corner is the button you can click to subscribe if you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc. Then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm the Big D saying, see ya.